Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Harsh, and in this video we are going to discuss a very popular interview question called maximum subarray sum. First, we will discuss the brute force approach, which is going to give us two solutions. First one would be cubic and the second one would be quadratic. And it also explains how can you generate all possible subarrays or subset of a given array. And then we will discuss the dynamic programming approach, which is the cadence algorithm. So let's get started. So the question is maximum subarray sum. Given an array of n integers, find a contiguous subarray which has the largest sum. First, let us discuss what are contiguous subarrays. So a subset is a contiguous subarray if all elements are next to each other and the relative order is maintained. For example, a subset 2, 1 is contiguous subarray because both elements are next to each other and their relative order is same. Another example is the subset -2, 2, 1. So this subset is also a contiguous subarray because all elements are next to each other and their relative order is same. Now consider this subset -2, 5 and -6. This subset is not a contiguous subarray because these elements do not lie next to each other. Another subset, which is 10, 5 and -6, is also not contiguous because although the elements are next to each other, but their relative order is not same. So I hope the question is clear. We need to find out the largest sum of a contiguous subarray. For example, maximum subarray sum of the given array is 18 and the maximum subarray sum of this array is 2. So first thing that comes into our mind is to explore all possible subarrays, calculate their sum and return the maximum of those. Quite straightforward, right? This is the brute force approach. Although it would be expensive in terms of time complexity, but I always say it is a good practice to come up with a brute force solution. Because first, a naive solution is always better than no solution. And second, coming up with a brute force approach gives an impression that you know something. So what we are going to do is, we are going to explore all possible subarrays and try to find out the maximum sum we can get. So the problem is, how do we generate all possible subarrays? And the answer is using two-pointer approach. That's why we have two pointers, a left pointer and a right pointer. The left pointer or the left bound is the index from where a subarray starts, and the right pointer or the right bound is the index at which the subarray ends. For example, a subarray can start at index 2 and end at index 4. In this case, we have a subarray of length 3 that contains 1, 5 and 10. So using these two pointers, we can produce all possible subarrays. Let's see how. So first, we are going to produce all possible subarrays that starts at index 0. So if a subarray starts at index 0, then it may end at index 0 itself. In this case, we have a subarray of length 1. Or the subarray can end at index 1. And in that case, we have a subarray of length 2. Similarly, we can have a subarray of length 3, length 4, length 5, length 6. We can't go any further because the right pointer or the right bound has hit the last index. So it means that we have covered all possible subarrays that starts at index 0. Similarly, now we are going to produce all subarrays that starts at index 1. So again, the subarray that starts at index 1 may end at index 1 itself, or at index 2, at index 3, at index 4, at index 5. After this, we are going to produce all possible subarrays that starts at index 2, like this. So the only thing which remains now is to compute the sum of a given subarray, which can be computed easily just by traversing it. So that was it. And this is how the code looks like. We have a variable max sum which is going to store the maximum subarray sum. Then for every start index and end index, which is the left bound and the right bound of a given subarray, we calculate the sum just by traversing it from left to right. So on a higher level, what we are doing is we are exploring all possible subarrays, calculating their sum, and at the end, we are just returning the maximum of those. So let's now talk about the time complexity of the given approach. So what we are doing was first visiting the subarrays and then computing the sum. So the total time complexity becomes n square times n, which is n cube. Now we are going to reduce time complexity from cubic to quadratic. And for this, we need to find out unwanted computations. So the current way of calculating the subarray sum is not efficient. Let's see why. Suppose we want to calculate sum of a subarray 2, 5 and 10. So we traverse it from left to right and the sum comes out to be 2 plus 5 plus 10, which is 17. Now, if we add a new element, say 6, at the end of the current subarray, then we have a new subarray which contains 2, 5, 10 and 6. And if we traverse the new subarray from left to right in order to compute the sum, then we will be visiting the elements 2, 5 and 10 again. This is where we are performing unwanted computations. Ideally, we should use the pre-computed result, which is 17, add it with the new element 6 to obtain the sum of this new subarray. So from now onwards, we are going to calculate something which is known as prefix sum, which means from now onwards, in order to compute the sum of a subarray from index I to index j, we don't need to traverse it. We are going to use the sum of a subarray from index I to j minus 1 and the element at index j. And if we do so, then the time complexity for finding out the sum of a subarray would be reduced to constant time. So this is how the modified code looks like. Now we have a variable which is going to store the sum of a preceding subarray. After that, for every start index, the value of previous subarray sum would be 0 because we can consider that earlier we have no subarray or a subarray of length 0. After this, for every subarray from start index till end index, we can find out the sum just by adding the last element of the subarray with the previous subarray sum. And the sum of the current subarray is going to act as the previous subarray sum for upcoming subarrays. If the current sum beats the best result so far, then we are going to update max sum. So the time complexity of this solution would be n square because now we can compute the subarray sum in constant time. So now it's time to reduce time complexity even further to big O of n by thinking in terms of subproblems. There are many efficient ways to solve this question, but the most efficient one implements Cadane's algorithm, which is a dynamic programming approach in which we reduce a big problem into subproblems and solve all those subproblems to answer the big picture. You must always remember this. In order to understand dynamic programming, you must learn how to break down a big problem into subproblems and how those subproblems relate to each other in order to solve the main question. So dynamic programming is about subproblem. So we have a table over here. This table is nothing but a collection of subproblems. This cell over here, it is a subproblem, which is the maximum sum of contiguous subarrays ending at index 1. And this cell is another subproblem, which is maximum subarray sum ending at index 4. So this cell is a subproblem which is find out the maximum subarray sum ending at index 5. In order to solve the main question, we are going to solve all of these subproblems first. So let's see how Cadane's algorithm works. First, we are at index 0 and the subproblem here is find out the maximum subarray sum that ends at index 0. Now, because we are at the first index, then we can only have a subarray of length 1 that contains negative 2 and the sum of that subarray would be negative 2 itself. So the answer to this subproblem would be negative 2. Next, we are at index 1 and the subproblem is find out the maximum subarray sum among the subarrays that ends at index 1. To answer this subproblem, we have two options. First, start a new subarray from this index, and second, expand an existing subarray that ends at index 0. So if we choose option 1 to start a new subarray, then the sum of that subarray would be this element itself, which is 2. And if we decide to expand the existing subarray whose sum is negative 2, then the sum of new subarray would be negative 2 plus this element, which is 2. So negative 2 plus 2 equals 0. So we have two subarrays. First, a subarray of sum 2 and second, a subarray of sum 0. And the subproblem was to find out the maximum subarray sum. So out of these two choices, we are going to pick a subarray that gives us maximum sum. Therefore, the answer to this subproblem would be 2. After this, we move to index 2. The subproblem here is find out the maximum subarray sum among the subarrays that ends at index 2. So again, we have two options. Either start a new subarray using this element 1 or expand the subarray that ends at index 1. Now you may ask, why are we expanding the subarray that ends at index 1? Why can't we expand another subarray? This is because the question is about contiguous subarrays. So if a subarray ends at index 1 and we are at index 2, so we can add this element to that subarray. But if we add 1 to a subarray that ends at index 0, then the new subarray formed would not be contiguous. This is why we always expand a subarray that ends at index I minus 1 if currently we are at index I. So if we choose to start a new subarray from this index, then we are going to have a subarray of length 1 that contains the element 1 itself, and the sum of that subarray would be 1. Otherwise, if we expand the existing subarray that ends at index 1, then the sum of the new subarray would be 2, which is the sum of preceding subarray, plus 1, which is 3. So out of these two values, we pick maximum one, which is 3. So the answer to this subproblem is 3. And if we want to verify this result, then we can generate all possible subarrays and compute their sum. And we can find out that the subarray 2, 1 gives us maximum sum, which is 3. Next, we are at index 3. The element here is 5 and the subproblem is find out the maximum subarray sum among the subarrays that ends at index 3. So we can use this 5 as a subarray of length 1 whose sum would be 5. Or we can append this 5 to a subarray that ends at index 2. Doing so gives us a subarray that ends at index 3 and whose sum is 3 plus 5, which is 8. So out of these two choices, we pick the maximum one. Therefore, the answer to this subproblem would be 8. Next, we are at index 4 and the answer to this subproblem would be either 10 or 10 plus 8. And because 18 is larger than 10, that's why the answer to this subproblem would be 18. So finally, we are at the last index. The element here is 6 and the subproblem is find out the maximum subarray sum that ends at index 5. Again, we have two options. First, start a new subarray using -6, and the second option is expand the subarray that ends at index 4 and whose sum is 18, so that the subarray sum becomes 18 minus 6, which is 12. And out of these two choices, we pick the maximum one. Therefore, the answer to this subproblem would be 12. At last, we have solved all of these subproblems. Now, using these subproblems, we are going to find out the global best answer. So, we just traverse this table from left to right and pick up the maximum value. Therefore, the answer to main question is 18. And here you can see the implementation of Cadane's algorithm, which is very short and simple. So this was dynamic programming approach, the cadence algorithm. If you learned anything from this video, then please hit the like button and share this video among your friends. You can also drop a comment if you like. I will see you later with another interesting question. Till then, bye.